title now?
I was the interior design manager for the C7 Corvette.
Okay. And let's talk about the interior here. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Started with a clean sheet of paper?
Sure, we did, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the current car is a fantastic car in itself, but this one's been a long time in the coming, so yeah, we wanted to hit this one dead on.
And looking at the car, premium materials, if it looks like carbon fiber, it is carbon fiber?
Absolutely. We made sure that there was 3 key points that we wanted to hit: materials, ergonomics, and technology. I mean, that's kind of, you know, starting at the base level. Materials, yeah, if it was in the car, it was genuine. So if it's metal, it's real. If it's carbon fiber, it's real. If it's leather, it's real. On the technology, we knew we wanted to get a lot of technology into the vehicle, but we know we didn't want to go to the point of alienating customers or making it difficult to use. So we feel we've got really a good balance of that. And then the ergonomics. The current car is a fantastic ergonomic interior. You put your hand down, there's the shifter. You reach for this, everything's right where you want it. And so we made sure that we didn't move any of the things that were right, and we fixed the things that were wrong. One of the things you'll notice, we've got a electronic park brake, so that addresses the large brake handle that was in the way before. Made it very difficult to package good cup holders. Now we have better cup holders for a car that's obviously used as a daily driver just as much as it is a spirited sports car.
Now, obviously, one of the big things that we kept hearing about with the C6 was the quality of the seats. We know that you worked on the 2012 seats,
Yep.
which were vastly improved. Tell us about the design of these seats.
Sure, I'd love to. I have to point out my key lead designer on the seats, Alex Campos. He worked on both the 12 seat with me and both the GT seat and the competition sports seat that you'll see in the C7. What we found in trying to improve the seat on the 2012 model was how difficult it was to make one seat do all that a Corvette needed a seat to do. So we proposed from design that we do 2 seats, one that's more focused on the spirited track enthusiast, and one that would be used for your average everyday Corvette owner. Because as you know more than anybody, Corvette owners drive their cars every day. It's not a car that you put away and only get out on a sunny day. So with the first seat, we tried to improve it to make it as good as it could be with the GT seat. But that track seat or the competition sports seat, no holds barred. We knew that that had to be tight and firm. If anybody's ever tracked a Corvette, you know that the car is so capable, the G-forces will move you around, and that seat holds you in place. It's got race-inspired pass-through holes. It's got real carbon fiber. It's got a hard back panel to increase the thinness. But what it does have over any other Recaro or aftermarket seat is that it's got all the safety measures that GM puts into all its cars. So it's got your airbags, your seatbelt pretensioners. It held back nothing. So, and it even comes heated and cooled.
So cool seats, though, when you're getting hot on the track.
Oh yeah. What you do.
Now, let's see. Talk about the materials again. The steering wheel was made a little bit smaller.
Yes.
And how does that affect the handling of the car for the driver?
Pretty dramatically. It was actually an eye-opening experience for me. Going from a 370 through a 360, 360 millimeter diameter steering wheel it's not that much when you really get down to it, but you feel it when you get into the car. Obviously, that means that every movement you make is quicker, and when the car can respond as fast as the Corvette can, that just makes it that much better. But we also added a lot of the technology controls onto the steering wheel, which was a debate for some time. Should a Corvette or a sports car have a cleaner, less cluttered wheel? Again, the Corvette is not a car that people only track and take out occasionally. They live with these cars and they want that convenience. And if you are driving spiritedly, you don't have to take your hands off the wheel. And if you have the optional HUD, you don't even have to look away from the road to change your music, to change your nav settings or any of that. So that was another big part of where we brought the ergonomics, which was the physical part of the wheel, and the technology, which is all the connectivity of the wheel, and made it work as a sports car feature.
Now, we understand that you guys, the interior guys, were taken out to the track.
Oh yeah.
And tell us about that experience. Is that something you've ever done before as part of a project?
No. You don't tend to do that when you're working on equinoxes and terrains and things of that nature. But the Corvette, obviously, it was a major part of it. And I personally, along with a couple of my colleagues, had done this twice. Once we went to one of the Corvette Museum high-performance driving, I don't know exactly how they term that, what do they call it? High-performance driving event. All right, so yeah, we went out with Rock from the from the Corvette Museum to Road America, and at the time the ZR1 had just come out. I was lucky enough to get a Z06 to take, and we went around Road America. And if you're familiar with Road America, it's a very fast track. It's got a lot of straightaways with a lot of speed, and I found very quickly that I found my limit, but I never found the Corvette's limit, ever, the whole time, with coaching. So that was great. And then another time after we had got started and I got my team assembled, I asked if we could go out and meet with some of the engineers at Milford and see if they could kind of show us a little bit about the car so that the guys could really get a feel for how the car behaves and what it's about. And that was another extremely valuable experience for us. We got to go through a lot of tighter slalom courses with them driving, which is one of the things that led us to add the second handle down the middle of the console, because you really needed to hold on. And we've heard that complaint, before, that passengers in this car often would like more to stabilize themselves. We hope the seats do a good job of that as well, but having those two handles there really came from that event.
Now there's some neat features. Obviously we've got a couple, I believe they're 8-inch high definition screens
yes.
in the car.
Standard.
And they're configurable to the kind of road. So if you're doing a long distance cruise, you can set it up for like a commuter. But if you're at the track, you kind of take some of that information away.
Absolutely, absolutely. You'll see right there in the middle, that round knob, that's our driver mode selector. And what you do there, you've got 5 modes to select from, anywhere from weather to track to, I think, sport and rain. And so you would adjust that. Well, unlike a lot of mode selectors, it's only going to adjust, say, your traction control or something like that. This affects every system in the car. It changes the suspension, it changes the displays. So when you go to the track setting, it's actually going to change the way that the display looks to bring forth the information that's important for that driving experience. So that was really a big part of this, yeah.
And along those lines, there's now a color heads-up display too.
Yes, full color, which is kind of funny because you can't use every color. If you were to put up a picture of your dog, for example, up on the screen, most of it would be transparent. So there's only a few colors we can use, but yeah, it makes a big difference. You can draw attention to areas on that you need to see quickly. One of the things we learned at Road America was, at the time, I was assuming we were going to try and use a larger area of the windscreen for HUD, or to display, not unlike a video game where you have telemetry and you have the track overview almost as a GPS up in one corner of the screen. You have your information. We thought we'd do that. We would put that out there. One lap around Road America, and I realized that you don't have time to look at anything. So for example, if we wanted you to know when to shift, we would have the entire HUD light up red. It doesn't have to say shift. It doesn't have to have a little light down the corner. It needs to be strong. So that gives us that ability to do that, which I don't know if we can use that because I don't think we do light the whole thing up red. But yeah, it's a big step up from the previous dot matrix display.
And then we also heard that there is a storage area behind the center console display.
Yeah, that's a big one for me because that was something that I had pushed forward. We have a technology that we've been using, a lot of other car companies do as well, called an ICS, integrated center stack. What that does is, if you remember back in the day, you'd have a radio you'd buy, and it would be this large block of metal with a face on it. Well, we put that block of metal or all of those electronics elsewhere. And so the only thing that's actually on the front of the car there are the knobs and the buttons and such, which are very thin. That leaves a very large area of nothing. And in a car like the Corvette, storage is just as important. You just don't have as many opportunities. So we took advantage of that, and we actually you press the button right next to the left of the screen. It actually takes the screen down into the IP and reveals a very large storage and connection area. You can put your iPhone, you can put your iPod, you can put any of your MP3s or your smartphones in there, connect them up through Bluetooth, charge them with your USB. It's all behind the screen, and everything's controllable through the car. You no longer even need to access that. So it's also a safety thing.
Now, in the rear of the car, you said that was completely redone as well.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about some of the features. I understand that there's some use of some smart materials in the back as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just the cargo area, right? But in a Corvette, a coupe in particular, it's open to the whole interior. You're looking at it all the time. It's your trunk. It's really more of a truck bed. Anybody that owns a Corvette coupe knows how much you can put in a Corvette. It's a lot. And we really wanted to make sure that the back of the car, the cargo area, was just as tuned and just as efficient as the rest.
Right. And is there a rear storage hatch for the target top, for the removable roof panel?
Yes, not so much a hatch as it is, it's similar to today's.
Okay.
It locks into the cargo area and snaps in at the back. So it does store in the back, just like today's does, but we've gotten a little bit extra room in there.
Now, obviously, the rear hatch has been changed, the shape of it.
Yeah.
Does that affect the amount of cargo space that someone can carry?
No, actually, we increased the cargo space. One thing we did have to work with a little bit was the cargo security. So we have cargo covers, but unlike today's, which is just one single one, if we did that, it would have to stretch a long way because some of it has to stay with the car and some of it goes up with the hatch. So it's actually split in two. So when it's closed, it still performs the security that's needed, but it separates for the storage.
Right. If I'm a C6 owner and I sit in this car, what's the first thing that I'm going to what's the wow factor of the car?
I think the first wow factor is the driver-centric feel of the interior. It engulfs you. When you close the door, you're in a cockpit, literally a cockpit. The other thing you're going to notice if you're coming out of a C6 is that everything you love about a C6 interior as far as where things are placed and how easy they are to use and get to is the same in this new car.
You know, the way the layout is, it kind of reminds us of the C4 just a little bit, the way it tapers down into the center cone. It's turned a little bit towards the driver, a little bit, like you said, jet fighter feel of the cockpit. But was that something that was planned, or was it just something that just kind of came about as you were working on it?
Right, it wasn't planned, it wasn't official. Hey, let's go back and try one of the post interiors to try and get a little bit of a classic feel. But we recognized it as we did develop it that it was falling into that. Which is a good thing. That was a good interior. But what it all came out about with this car was functionality. We wanted that driver to know that everything was there for them and at easy reach. So all the driver-centric adjustments that were made were done on purpose. It just so happens that was probably the same effect that the C4 interior designers did.
Right. Now, you did consumer clinics with the interior where you put people and it was blind and they couldn't tell it was a Corvette. What other cars did you compare it against, and how did the Corvette do against those cars?
Yeah, we did Porsche 911, Nissan GTR, which was pretty new at the time, just to market, and also the Audi R8. This is an interesting car to clinic because we don't really have any direct competitors due to the pricing. We are so below the pricing of most of what I would consider our contemporaries. Okay, I can't call them competitors, but we benchmark them, such as Ferrari, Lamborghini, and of course the Porsche is probably the closest. So yes, we clinicked those. It was non-badged. Obviously a lot of people, most of your viewers or your subscribers would know what these cars, even without the badges, are. A lot of people didn't though. And so one of the things that we did is at the very end of the clinic, the last people there can't leave and tell anybody coming in what they saw, so we asked if we could tell them what cars they saw at this clinic. And when we exposed that that was a Nissan GTR, most people didn't know what it was too new. The R8, they were like, oh, that's a nice car, that's a nice interior, and it did fairly well in the clinic. But the one that surprised us the most and was gratifying was the 911. Everybody in this group, when we told them that that was a 911, were either upset because of how poorly they found the car to be without the badge on it, or were surprised but in a pleasant way. And it surprised us in a pleasant way as well to hear these folks that had stated that that was their dream car saying they would have to change their dream car because they no longer felt that it was a good aspiration.
So maybe the Corvette's now their new dream car.
Could be, although they didn't know that we were the Corvette at the time. But we hope that they will.
Right. Well, Craig, your team did a fantastic job. I'd like to thank you on behalf of all the Corvette enthusiasts and owners out there, and keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Keith. Appreciate it.